Okay, hello everyone. George Webb here at Neighborhood News, and we've got a big crew here today. I think this is the most people we've ever had here in the Neighborhood News studio. And of course, we're launching and having another version of Neighborhood Health. And today's going to be a really special show for you. We've got a cancer survivor here, the great Harry the Greek. He's here, but be careful of all these cords. We've created the biggest obstacles that we ever could. Can you get over all those cords, Harry? Yeah, just somehow get over all those cords.
Hello, folks.
It's going to be right here when you sit here. Is that too high, or is this okay?
It's fine.
Right. Okay. So
hey, folks.
There you are, right there. Okay. So, and then there's your microphone, Harry.
Oh boy.
And then do you know Carol?
Yeah, Carol. Hi.
Yeah, hi, Harry. So
Harry.
Nice to see you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, so Carol is our neighborhood health correspondent in Portland, Oregon, and we're going to hopefully have another neighborhood health correspondent from Boston, Massachusetts. You know Tara.
Yes, I do.
You know Tara. And we're really going to focus in, with your permission today, Carol, we're going to focus in on Harry's case, his cancer case.
Sure.
And then we've got the neighborhood news cam on all the clocks there and the whiteboard. And we may have guests jump in and jump out there as well on that camera as well. So we're going to leave that camera open just for everybody's, just for flexibility here. And since I'm running this all by myself, I don't have anybody else. We're going to just leave that open because it's easier to leave it open than opening it and closing it. Okay, got that out of the way. So if you're not familiar with this gentleman to my right, Harry the Greek is his name on Nom de Intelligence or Nom de Plume or Nom de something. That's how he's known.
I'm a writer.
He's a writer. Yeah. And he has a blog called
NakedTruth.news and BrassBalls.blog. I've been writing. There's over 1,000 stories over the last 8 years on those two blogs. I use Naked Truth News now to put my stories because it's made to be read on phones, and there's lots of space. It's easy to read, and it makes it a lot easier for me to write the stories too.
Yeah, and so if you haven't followed Harry, follow him immediately. He's just a wealth of information because of his sourcing. He's been sourcing materials for a long, long time. What I wanted to talk to everybody about, and I hope I don't get us out of focus here. You're good over there. Harry's just recovering from an operation here, and that is the size of the tumor there.
Wow. I can't see the inches or centimeters. Can you tell us what that is?
It's a ruler.
It's a ruler, and that's a 1 foot ruler. So
Oh, wow.
probably an
Very-
8-inch mass there. It's
Yikes.
probably the size of not a football, but
And it's round, like a if you can imagine at Thanksgiving time when you have that gel cranberry sauce in a can where you cut it open. Take that and blow it up twice. That's what came out of my insides about 11 years ago in January.
11
Did
years
you say
ago.
11 years ago or days?
Yeah, 11 years ago.
Years
now-
ago. Wow. I didn't realize that, Harry.
Yeah, I was supposed to be dead. You know, God's got me around for something else. What it is, I try to figure it out, but you know, I'm not that smart. So what can I say?
So you haven't had any recent?
No,
Nothing recent.
no. The cancer doctor said you're not going to get any more cancer. You'll die of something else. I said, well, that's good to know. So.
Well, there you go. Thanks. We're having folks come in from various locations here, so I'll just put their. I'm going to just basically put their comments up here really quick. Oh, I can't do it from this station, so that's right.
You want me to explain to folks exactly what's going on today and what
Sure.
we're doing here? Okay.
Sure.
To bring you up to date, after the surgery, I couldn't move my right leg at all. At all, folks. Well, today was the first time when I'm sitting down in a chair, This is a little bit too high, but a regular sized chair without wheels. I'm able to get out of the chair without using my arms to push up from the seat. That's the first time in almost 11 years that I've been able to do that. I haven't been able to do steps until about 3 weeks ago when I went to a football game at John Carroll University in the Cleveland area. And my seats are in like row T, which is right below the press box on the 50-yard line. And there's no escalator. Well, I was able to go up the steps one leg at a time rather than 2 feet at a time. One step, left foot, same step. Left foot, right foot, same step. I went left, right for the first time in 11 years. Now,
Wow.
and I'm still scared going down because if I go down, I got a long ways to go down. Okay. But that's impressive. Then, George, when's the last time we did a show in Cleveland? 4 years ago, 3 years ago, whenever?
Yeah, we went down to Cleveland Stadium, Brown Stadium. Yep.
So George saw this. I can't do. We were in a Huntington parking garage right next to Cleveland City Hall, and we couldn't find the elevators there. But there's a ramp. He says it's 20 degrees. I think it's more than that, but it doesn't matter. I couldn't walk it.
I like that. Yeah.
I couldn't walk it. And that was, 3-4 years ago. So I can do it now. Now I might need the help of a cane, but I think I could probably do it without the cane. So what's responsible for the success? It's a handheld radio frequency device that our friend of the station, Craig Birdling, invented. And before we went on to the show here, he put some of that radio waves through my leg, and that's why I could get out of the chair now. I just saw Craig again for the last time about 3 weeks ago and couldn't do that. Couldn't go the steps until he gave me the radio wave treatment. There's no pills, no needles, no doctors, and it's designed to help soft tissue injuries and help reduce pain. And some people would call it a miracle. Well, I happen to be Orthodox. In the Orthodox faith, we call it a mystery. It's not a mystery novel or something like that. A mystery in the Orthodox faith means there's only one reason why something happened, and the answer is it was an act of God. So how my leg is healed so far to this point, I don't call it a miracle. I call it a mystery for that reason, folks.
Well, that's awesome, Harry. And I'm going to let you be the anchor here. You can see your picture over here.
Yep, sure can.
Now I'm going to then run over, and I won't be audible, but I'm going to run over to the neighborhood news desk there with the clocks over there.
All right.
And I'm going to put these comments on so that people can see the comments that people are making out there watching this. And then I will, if you put the headphones on, Mark, I'm going to train Mark live. You see yourself, Mark? Yep. Now you go over to the comments. You see the comments field to the right, right? If you put your mouse over the middle, it'll say show. Yeah. Now see how Mark, you see on the screen now, the composite screen, it says, hello, Carol. Glad to see the Greek. Good job, everybody. Okay. Now, if you go down the next one, Michigan is Key by Charles Held, and mouse over that one, and then hit show on that. Hit show there. We're just doing a little on job. Okay, we skipped it. Lisa Mathieu says, wow, Harry, I'm so happy you made it. Great work. Keep up the good job. Now, Michigan is Key, Charles Held says.
Oh, hi, Lisa from Hawaii. Hope the fishing's good.
Umanuka, appa, swimming by. Okay, and now we'll go down to Dave Underdown. It'd be great at Dave Underdown.
Oh, David from Michigan.
Yeah.
All right.
Thoughts on Zadara Smith trade?
Thoughts on that? Yeah, I'm not writing the check. I think he's a hell of a player, and the Browns have a problem now with this Deshaun Watson contract now to signing players. So I think that was a salary dump case. But the Detroit Lions, you just got a hell of a defensive player, run and pass. Good luck on the Super Bowl. I don't expect to see a Super Bowl in my lifetime using the Cleveland Browns until they get rid of Jimmy and Dee Haslam, the owners. They're to blame for all this mess, folks. Everything they get involved with goes to.
Yeah,
I'm trying to be clean here.
And there are some odd criminal ties, I believe, to Jimmy. And I will probably just leave it.
Let's leave it right there.
We'll
I've
leave
written
it right
about it. I've written 36 stories on it. So
Jimmy Haslam with the
put it this
pilot,
way.
the pilot.
He's a criminal. And you know who said that? Jimmy did. On a statement he signed to the Justice Department, 92-page document. It's in the story.
It's in the story, folks. We're going to go down now to Freedom. Mark, if you go down to Freedom and say greetings, George, Carol, and so forth. So we're doing a little bit of online trading here. So Carol, any questions for Harry the Greek?
Yes, I'd like to hear more about your treatment, Harry. Let's hear about the frequency gizmo you use.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll have Craig sit there. Once you get up, I'm going to have Craig sitting right next to me. You want to do that?
We'll bring him in.
We're gonna have Tom come over.
Yeah.
Tell him.
Well, in a second, let me get done with Harry first, okay? Because of the mobility issues, okay? So just because of logistics, we're going to go to Abra. Abra says Washington got rid of Dan, so now we have a better record. Washington got rid of Dan, and now we have a better record.
Is that the previous owner you're talking about? Yeah, I don't follow Washington.
Oh, right.
I don't follow. I just follow the Browns. I have a hard enough keeping track of them. So sorry.
Okay, we're going to go to Dave Underdown making a comment about making Harry an honorary Lions fan.
That's fine. It's a different division.
Yeah, and also getting him a key to the Greek town.
That would be nice. I've never been there.
Yeah, so he's halfway there now. I think we'll get to the treatment just a second, Carol. But I wanted to just mention a couple of the big stories that Harry has worked in the past that I think people should go back now that we're in this period of Trump winning to Trump getting Trump to the inauguration safely. I think several stories that Harry's covered have new relevance now with Trump. And I think one of them was the FBI in Strongsville, Ohio. Harry's from Strongsville. I've been to Strongsville to see Harry many times. There was the whole FBI case there with the
Margaret Cole and the European Adoption Consultants Agency. They are international adoption agency in 35 countries. According to her defense attorney, she sold over 8,000 kids for $240 million. That's what they admitted to, folks. She did 3 months in jail in a what's that resort in West Virginia where the Browns had their training camp this year?
Oh, that's it's not the Greenbrier.
Yeah, Greenbrier.
It's the Greenbrier.
They got a federal prison in Greenbrier. They didn't have one minimum prison facility in the state of Ohio for women, and that's where the judge sent her to. And
that's
she
a
magically
5-star.
ends up, she ends up at a resort.
Well, I kind of wondered
West
what happened to
Virginia.
Mrs. Cole there.
3 months.
The other person you're seeing in the upper left corner of your screen is the great Mark Buckley, 40 years in journalism.
Mark.
I was just at the Toledo Blade this morning talking about how the real journalists, the one that seem to have all their hands in the pies of these great stories, are no longer in the old newspaper business. They're here with Neighborhood News. We've got two of those people right here today. So there's the Strongsville, Ohio story. I want to mention that you should read these stories because they're so well documented. The other area that Harry has really done a great job is in NATO. He's followed NATO. He's on the NATO press releases and so forth.
I got media clearance from NATO.
He does. And he's produced
I don't believe it either.
He's produced these great stories at the beginning of the coronavirus. Harry, the Greek here, was saying Defender 20, which is Defender 2020, looked like the beginning of a live exercise, looked like the beginning of a military live exercise. This is January and February of 2020. It's out there. You can look at the articles. He is saying it looks like this pandemic is a military live exercise. Now, you may remember in March 2020, March 23rd, 2020, a guy named Mike Pompeo ran the State Department saying this is a live exercise. Harry, why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Well, at the time, Pompeo was he was the Secretary of State, and also he came out. He was a former congressman, I think, out of Kansas, and also director of the FBI or the CIA. Excuse me. But this to bring you up to date on NATO, because I get press releases from all sorts of organizations, and I get also from the American military, Stars and Stripes, Navy, Air Force, Army, National Guard, all kinds of sources. I got 2 or 3 sources today from different departments in the military that they're sending the F-35 bombers to run missions in Europe. And I ran a story probably a month ago. A new director of NATO, I can't remember the fellow's first name. I can't remember his last name, but it's in the story. NATO director came out and flat out said, war with Russia. They're gearing up for that. Now, with Trump being elected president, since the United States funding almost the majority of NATO, that funding is going to stop, and hopefully, like he did when he was president, no war with Russia.
So now Mark Rutte is, I think,
Mark Rutte
is how you pronounce it.
Mark Rutte.
He's a Dutch guy. So what you're saying, Harry, and this is breaking right here at Neighborhood News right now, you're saying that you believe the new NATO Director General will start bombing using the F-35 in Ukraine, and that may get Trump into a war before Trump can take office.
Well, I'm not. Folks, don't ever believe my opinion, because I don't believe I'm wrong most of the time anyway. But anyway, this is what Mark Rutte said, that he's there to get the war in Russia started. All right. It's not what I say is important. It's what the sources in the story say that's important. That's the difference between my stuff and someone else. Will they start bombing Russia with the F-35s right away? Well, it's going to be January 20th until Trump's going to take office. So that could happen before then. Did he say we're going to bomb them using these bombers? No. But why the hell else they send them to Europe on these drills, on these bombing drills, unless they intend to use them? They've never put them in Ukraine before. So
now, are you saying? Now, I've been to the Papa Air Force Base in Hungary. I've reported from that NATO base there. That was one of the forward bases where they had F-35 training. There's bases in Poland that I went to as well, where there was F-35s being sent. Are you saying that F-35s will be sent to Ukraine? Because
I'm not in charge of that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I'm getting all the feelers from American military sources that the planes will be there. Now, why else are they going to be there except to start a war? I'm not saying that it's going to be a war with this. I think Trump can stop it.
Do you have an article right now out there that talks about this?
Yeah, I just got the F-35 stuff over the last few days. I've been trying to catch up on all the election stuff that I've had, especially in Michigan, which this is my opinion. Michigan, Arizona are the most corrupt state governments in the whole freaking country, which says a lot when you've got New York and a bunch of other places in Georgia that are just as bad too. But I'll go with Michigan being number 1 and Arizona number 2.
All right. We're going to switch hosts now. I'm going to switch with the great Mark Buckley from the Toledo Blade and the Dallas Morning Times. He's going to come over here, if you'd be so kind, Mark, and be the interviewer, because we're having another person we'd like to add coming in from Massachusetts. So give us one. We're going to do that music in your head. Do, 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 do.
In the meantime, I've got a few comments for Carol. I know, Carol, this has been a while. Several months back, you asked me if this radio frequency treatment was long-lasting. The answer to that, in my case, it has been. And I still can't, if I'm sitting on the floor with my legs extended, I can lift my left leg and hold it, I still cannot lift my right leg off the floor and extend it and keep it level. So I still got a long ways to go, but when you come from can't walk at all using your right leg to walking up steps at a football game, it's a dramatic improvement, and at least I'm able to get out of a chair on my own without using my hands and my arms to push me out of the chair. So
That's really wonderful, fantastic news, Harry. Have you been getting some more treatments? I noticed Craig's with you.
yes,
That's great.
last I've seen Craig, since he's in Ann Arbor with Greg Clark, that he gave me some treatments about 3 months ago. And at least a year before that, I visited Craig for the first time at Fort Myers, Florida. I got on a plane, went down there to see him. And that's when he spent a whole week working on my leg. And I got a lot of movement back and feeling. But like yesterday, I'm trying to clean up around the house, and I bumped my right kneecap into a chair or a table or something. I heard the clunk, real loud clunk, but I didn't feel anything. So I still got a long ways to go, but I can't wait to see the nerve doctor and watch her face, watch her jaw drop when she sees just how much of this leg I actually gained back, because I've got this in my rehab notes at the hospital. I've got this from, nerve tests that my leg didn't work. Well, you tell me how it works now. They have no idea. It's a grace of God.
That's just fantastic news, Harry. I'm just really, really pleased to see that you have more mobility, and the fact that, frequency. I have experience with frequency medicine too, so I know that it can do amazing, amazing things that, are, if you go to a regular doctor, they don't tell you about that. And they say it's impossible, but clearly it's not impossible. So
He started years ago.
This is my friend Mark right here. I haven't seen him since he paid me a visit 3 or 4 years ago in the Cleveland area when George Webb did some videos on the Kolomoisky properties in downtown Cleveland. And although the Justice Department said they took away some properties, I went through the notes and went through the International Court of Claims, and he got compensated. So he might have lost the properties, but he got his money out of the places. And it took me a while to find just what happened to him, but that's what he was there, and he saw I couldn't move my right leg very well.
It's amazing. It's just amazing.
Well, I was involved in some of your other election stuff too. We touched on that topic a minute ago, but we did get some good news this election cycle that Gascon, our DA in LA, is got the boot.
Yeah, the problem with that is the guy that took over.
Yeah,
he's from the Justice Department. And I think he'll be worse because he's not as flighty or harebrained as Gascon is. And I don't see that as any improvement. But I don't live in LA.
You did some fabulous coverage during that time. Particularly, we were on the mystery of what was on the servers. We were trying to get that information that they'd cloistered away in LA. And you did a wonderful interview with Nate Kane, who cracked those servers and let it out of the bag that there was tons of information.
Every once in a while I get great sources. He's the one that did tagged the evidence and accumulated it on the Eugene U Connect servers in the Michigan case. So that's the best source that you can get. It is the people in his team that actually tagged and took all the evidence that ended up being destroyed, sent back to Malaysia, and the courts refused to hear the cases. So that's what happened.
Well, the information
anyway,
is out
George
there.
been trying to get our attention. You want to go on? No, you're okay.
Mark,
Okay.
you just go ahead and lead the.
You talked about the a lot of military, a lot of exercise, and I brought over this. I don't know if you remember the back quarter. Okay, from 2020, they did. But that coin was minted the first 12 weeks of 2020 in the sequence that year. And I kept thinking about the bats.
It's got a bat on the back of the quarter, folks. A bat. This is before all that stuff happened with the COVID stuff.
It was the first 12 weeks of 2020 was the minting cycle. For
So the Treasury Department knew about it before Trump and before everybody else in the world knew about it.
So what state is that quarter from?
Was one of the territories. This American Samoa. Okay, and there's a fruit bat on it, you know, with a baby bat hanging out of it. But you know, they were doing like 5 quarters a year, and they would have a 12-week minting cycle for each of the coins. And this coin was the first coin of 2020. The first 12 weeks, January, February, and March of 2020 was when this bat coin was minted. And
You don't suppose
you
that's
were right, Harry. That's why I put that out.
foreshadowing.
They always tell you what they're doing.
Yeah, they always tell you. You got to be alert to find it. And up until, you know, I can say that the difference in this election cycle from 24 to 22 to 20 is I've got a lot of what I call primary witnesses in a bunch of states, all the key ones that have direct knowledge of fraud in the American election system. And that'll pay dividends. Hopefully I can get named to one of Trump's committees to evaluate how he's going to go after shutting all these modems and devices, all these machines connected to the internet, make sure they're unplugged, make sure they're not connected to artificial intelligence and VMware and a bunch of other things. And go back to paper ballots that are hand counted, and election results have to be reported in 24 hours, or it's tough luck. Your vote doesn't count.
How did Ohio do? You know, I really expected, you know, some kind of a crazy ballot dump or something early in the morning in Ohio to, you know, to swing the election. And Ohio got sewed up pretty early. Because I'm thinking like back when Metzenbaum got in, remember they had it was real early in the morning that a bunch of boats came in and knocked Saxby out. Anyhow,
No, I got an answer for that. It's the Attorney General, Frank LaRose from Akron, Ohio. Mm-hmm. His family has the LaRose Budweiser distributorship. Mm-hmm. Anyway, this guy's an attorney. He's got nothing to do with his family's business or anything. But he made sure that the results were responsibly made and minimized the fraud in the election. Been following politics in Ohio, Cleveland, state since elementary school when I was putting up signs for judges for Cleveland municipal races. So the answer is, you know, we got an honest attorney general who's not going to put up with the stuff.
Okay. You talked about a couple of states that, you know, we considered Michigan and Arizona corrupt. Can you think of maybe some things that you might have noticed with, you know, like LaRose did that the other states may not have done?
Yeah, he pulled out of an organization called ERIC, Electronic Registration Information Commission, that Hillary's in the Clinton Justice Department, a fellow by the name of David Becker was in charge of all the Civil Rights, Voting Rights Act cases that broadened the amount of people that could vote. And he made sure that his system that was supposed to check for duplicates and for dead people, well, the dead people were never removed for any of this stuff. And LaRose early on removed himself from that system in January. I know I had his press release. I don't know if I wrote a story that Ohio pulled out. I probably didn't because it wasn't strong enough nationally to write a story about. But he knew right on who to avoid. And anyway, the best thing I can say about him, he was an honest guy that made sure that the fraudulent votes were at a minimum. You can't prevent all of them, but you can prevent about 30 million of them that added to Harris's total. and to all these Senate races that the wrong senators, all Democrats, by the way, especially in Michigan and Arizona, they just keep on counting the votes, keep on bringing stuff in until the votes counts different, until their candidates win. It's that simple. And fortunately, there's people like Mark Fincham, who's ran for office. I think he got reelected to the Arizona legislature. He works directly with Kerry Lake, and he's Tina Peters' spokesman. He told me last time I had him on the phone. So we got a lot of people doing it, and then I've got one of my friends from Colorado, a raccoon. I'm going to leave his name off, but this guy's done a lot of things to expose how fraud's done, and he got some results from the Edison feed. Edison is connected to the home security feed that goes to Idaho Falls at the Department of Energy. And that's where the votes are tabulated. That's where they're counted. And that's not according to me. That's according to the CEOs of ESS Vote and the CEO of, Eric Krumer from Dominion. Okay. That answers part of the question. What else?
It did, they really kind of did.
Well, Harry, it sounds like the same thing happened to Amber. She was running for city council of Atlanta, and she sent us a screenshot late Tuesday night where she was ahead. And then by morning, lo and behold, 2 people had all of a sudden moved way up and booted her off the list of winners. And one of them happened to be the girlfriend of the new mayor of Atlanta. So it was sort of the same old thing that we saw.
Well, Atlanta is going to have is in for it, because there's someone that you don't want to. You can mess with me all day long. You don't want to mess with Amber.
Yeah, that's
believe me.
true.
And she's gone to trials for me, and I've gotten all sorts of information about how they steal the elections there in Georgia, in Atlanta, and it's through a subsidiary of the United Nations called the Carter Center. And if I'm on this fraud commission for President Trump, that's one of the things that's going to be near the top of the list, is for them to cut off all federal money going to the Carter Center. They're allies with China, and with the wrong allies from China. I got no problem with the people from China. I got no problem with China, but the communists, the China Communist Party, I got a problem with. They're linked with Carter Center. They just celebrated 15 years of rigging elections together. And who's the source? The Carter Center. And they're proud of it. So you want to tango with Amber? She called me when she needs help, but man, she's doing fine on her own, and she'll do something about it.
Well, I'm sure she will. She is a force to be contended with, and we're so happy. We can't wait to have her back on the show, though, once she gets done with all she's doing in Atlanta. So
she'll have stories to tell.
Yeah. So anyway, it still goes on, and basically all these election boards, they have signed contracts with the voting machine companies, hardware and software. They turn over the entire election to those organizations. And the election, you don't even need election officials anymore. Matter of fact, election officials in the state of Georgia, Michigan, Arizona are people who work for Dominion, ESS Vote, CrowdStrike. It's right in the doggone contract that they have. And basically, they run the elections for these people. Gross negligence. What do they call that? It's a legal term. It's even worse than gross negligence. Until these people are sued individually for damages for fraud.
Violation of their oath of office.
There's all kinds of violations, but until Trump gets in there and replaces the entire Justice Department with people that'll go after these people instead of, Biden and Harris, they left these people in because they're rigging the election for their side. Okay, that's going to change real quick. And Trump's got guys on his side now that know exactly what's going on, like people like Mark Fincham, like Matt Kolbeck and others that will help spearhead this. And hopefully my input will help these guys. I know it already has, because I've come up with other things that these people haven't come up with.
Well, I'm glad to know you're on the job too, Harry. You and Amber are a great team, but you got the goods, you got the background. It's been wonderful to see you in action.
Yeah, I have my moments. It's fun sometimes. Most of the time, it's fun. And what's important is the sources. I'm only as good as the sources I get, and fortunately, I'm able to get some great sources. And matter of fact, I got another great source here from Ohio on quantum computers. So that'll be a future story here that we'll be working on, and how it affects our lives. So just found about that one this morning, folks. So it takes me a while to figure out what's going on to write it.
Where can people find you now?
Right now I'm in Michigan. What is
But
this?
as
It's
far
Great Neighborhood News Studio.
But
How can they find me?
yeah, on the
Phone
web.
number 440-539-3364. I'm not worried about who sends me what, because I can block them. I don't care. But my email address, Harry the Greek at proton.me. Proton is PROTON.me. On the end of my stories, there's a place where you can give. How many times have I asked folks on the air for money?
I don't recall.
Oh, this is the first time. Send money, folks. You know, these transcripts, some of them I can get for free. A lot of them I can get for 10 cents, but you have states like Michigan, it's $1 a page. So if there's a filing, I've got several of these court cases. It's $1 in Michigan, $1 in California. It's $1 a piece in Delaware. When I'm following these court cases, you got 3 depositions that are 100 pages apiece, and you need multiple ones to figure out the story. That adds up. Fortunately, I've written stories now that don't take a lot of court records. But
So what's going to be with the real estate where the Brown Stadium is?
that's a done deal. Matter of fact, I went by the properties right across the street from the airport in Cleveland, on the other side of the road, and it's an extensive property where the old Ford plant was. And just down the street, I'd say probably about a mile and a half, is the Browns training facility. And that's where it's going. They have to dig most of the stadium underground because they need clearance for the airplanes. The airplanes are going to go directly over the airport, over the stadium. So that most of it's going to be underground, and parking and in and out access for all the cars. I mean, downtown Cleveland's a mess, and you don't want to deal with the city of Cleveland, have to pay 20% extra for minority contracts that can't do the work, whose partners are white anyway. It's a mess. You got to pay off all these politicians. Hopefully they don't pay off anyone in Brook Park, but in Brook Park, it's usually the mayor if you have to get to the mayor. But I don't think he's an honest guy. At least this one is. So I don't see that as being any problem. And all you need is the mayor and the city council to approve the permits to build the facility. So at the city of Cleveland, every councilman wants to have his word heard, and you're going to do this and you're going to do that. Forget it. It's not going in downtown Cleveland or anywhere near that, anywhere near the lake. I'm 73 years old. I've heard about developing the lake since I've been a little kid, when my doctor would make house calls. Hey, George, people are tired of listening to me. I don't know. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm just putting up your graphics.
Oh, all right.
So
You have
your
a Twitter?
graphics are scrolling by from brassballs.blog.
Oh, all right, good. Some of them are pretty good stories, folks.
Yes, they are. You got a lot of stories. And Harry, I did want to just mention your background in law makes you an amazing court reporter. you understand where to go to get the goods and how to explain it so well. So
Yeah, I worked 3 years for the sheriff's department and a year for the state of Ohio parole authority. So I kind of know what bonds are. I know how people get booked in and out. I know where the records are at, and I get a lot of those records. And that's how I was able to find Eugene Yu in jail in, God, what's the name of the county? Ingham County, Michigan. And I took pictures of that, and then mysteriously, a couple months later, all that file disappeared. But I got pictures of it. That helps out a lot, Carol.
mhm. Pictures are worth a
And
1,000
Connect
words.
Services that you had a
Yeah,
story.
Connect. Yeah.
They were up there in Okemos, right outside of Lansing.
Yep.
So we were aware of that. But we were up there. We saw a lot of empty real estate. A lot of offices empty up there. We wondered, how much they had taken when they packed up and left.
Well, they left destroyed evidence too, but the FBI escorted them to Malaysia, and Eugene Yu's working on the cloud projects with Microsoft, Amazon, Google, and some others, and they got the contract for the Pentagon. So you tell me who's running the Pentagon, folks. It isn't the Pentagon. Trump will fix it.
So BlackRock is the partner?
Hey, one of his partners, a guy by the name of Mike Lee, what was his name?
Mhm.
And he was working with BlackRock, and I did just a simple corporation check with the state of California. He's Eugene Yu's partners with Mike Lee and Connect. Oh boy. Yeah.
I think, wasn't it Mike Lee had to come in and get the bond money?
No, it was his wife. It
Oh, his
took me
wife.
a long time to nail that down. But actually, it was his wife that got the $500,000 in cash that was the bond on that LA case. And as soon as they got it, they got on the plane and went to Malaysia.
Well, George has
Donna Wang was her name.
has Donna Wang up there in the images, and that was a great story you did. And what she did was she designed human on a chip, which just
Yeah, I think I got one here. No, I don't.
yeah, but that's pretty amazing. And she was working with Lieber at Harvard and 1,000 Talents and all that
Yep.
stuff.
It's all in the
involved in
family.
all that stuff.
And then I remember Greg Clark, who's in the audience here. He went up there. I said, "Why don't you knock on doors and find out how many Wangs work there?" There were whole floors of Wangs, but no Donna. And you call the university. They got no record she ever worked. She's been there 25 years. No, we don't have this. We don't have a record that she'd be here. Oh boy, oh boy.
Ingham County is really interesting because he was arrested in Ingham County, Eugene. It's on the graphic there, and that's weird because that was the one that had the 126 people voting, where there was only 100 registered people on the polls.
Well, that isn't bad. It's usually worse than that. It's usually 3 million people and only 1 million registered, like in Michigan and Arizona and other places.
But they threatened everybody, all the poll workers there, with long-term prison sentences and everything else, and all they did was say, "There's more people that voted than there are on the rolls." And
It's all right.
that was their crime.
You don't have to be a citizen to vote in the United States. No problem. Anyway, what else do you want me on this show for?
I'll bring up Digital Ice here if you want to talk a little bit about that. I'll bring up the story you wrote about Digital Ice.
Oh, okay. Hey,
But Mark,
Craig and Mark, you want to talk about it?
Yeah.
Greg, you want to talk about it?
Sure.
Yes, come
All
on.
right.
Come on.
We're gonna switch gears here.
Stay here too, though.
Well, I don't need that. These people have seen enough of my
Okay.
face here. That's enough.
why don't we stay? Okay. He needs his cane.
No, I'm all right. I'm okay. I can get through. I can see it. I'm fine.
Let me get your article up here. Okay, Carol, I'm going to make you the interviewer, and hopefully you guys can hear Carol.
Yeah, you're George. You're sort of sounding far away to me, so I'm happy. Hello, Craig. Hello, Greg.
Hello. Good to see you, Carol.
Yeah, I've talked to you on the phone, but I haven't ever met you in person. So hello. I have met Greg. Well, yeah. Tell us more about
Let's go to the
your.
beginning of the story, how we got you up to here this time, because that's a good story that everyone's leaving out of the press right now. Harry, well, my good friend Dennis Machine Gun Thompson, who just got inducted into the Rock Hall of Fame with the MC5, had lots of medical conditions. He had a torn intestine. He broke some ribs, and he was just not feeling well. And I knew that this technology would probably help him. So I was trying to get him to come down to Florida. So twice we bought a plane ticket, but he just wasn't feeling well enough. And that's when I called Harry and I said, he's missing the plane again, Harry. What about you? Will you get on a plane? And he said, I'm on the next one out. So we got Harry down there, and that was when Harry got his first session. And then later, actually, he was just feeling bad. He hadn't broken his ribs yet. Dennis had fallen and broken his ribs, and he couldn't move in bed. If he just turned at all, he was screaming in pain. At the same time, they're upgrading his electric, so he had no electric and he couldn't move. So I was coming down to check on him after work every day, and I became more and more concerned about him. And I said, listen, we got to get Bones up here. I'm just worried, so we pitched in some money. We flew Bones up. The day Bones is getting off the plane, I said, I just feel like we should stop right now since you're here now, not wait till morning. We'd stop by, and I believe it was his kidney had exploded, but his whole side of his body was red and purple. He had massively bled out after having no bleeding at all for 2 weeks after he broke his ribs. He didn't have any bleeding. So I panicked, and in the video, I don't think it's around anymore, but I grabbed the device from Bones. He starts doing it. I says, give it to me. And we gave him like 5 minutes, and you just watching the skin and everything just normalize, all the tissue. And it kept normalizing and getting smaller and smaller, and the spot was getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And the skin was changing colors back to normal. And I just really felt that we had got there in time. And I still look back and I say, why did I leave that night? Because, if someone explodes their kidney and is massive internally bleeding, you don't necessarily leave. But after it looked like we had done such good work there at Bones did that night that we went back to the hotel and stopped in the next morning. And
at around 8 o'clock.
Is that what it was? Yeah. And he answered the door. We heard him get out of bed. He hadn't been out of bed. And he's like, "Hey, can you hear me coming?" I opened the door. He opened the door and he says, how you guys doing? I'm looking at him. Fine. How are you? I'm feeling pretty good.
Well, that's an amazing story. Yeah. Well, maybe Craig, can you tell us a little bit more about how this machine made that miraculous? It sounds like it happened within minutes, even before your very eyes.
You see it from here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's get the details.
Well, it did take more time, by the way. As we got some of the color, we let the last of the color out of it. We continued to treat him, and it would still cause a little pain from the ribs and all that. So, especially the ribs, probably cut the time of recovery in half. But the body organ was the main thing at that point in time. So, but go ahead.
Yeah, that was an amazing miracle for Dennis, and entirely grateful at that. Yeah, I was surprised he came to the door at 8 o'clock the following morning. That's what we're doing. Yeah, he almost had a complete memory loss of that he'd been in bed for the last 2.5 weeks. But it was just a real miracle for him to have that this biotechnology.
Yeah, he was starting to experience a little Alzheimer's too that we were treating, which is another interesting avenue of. We've tried it. Bones in 8 years, we basically had to try it on everything. We didn't know it could do all these different things. So over 8 years, we've tried it on so many, like basically everything that we've ever encountered, from hearing loss, COVID, COPD. People run over by cars, cracked skulls, lots and lots of cancer.
Things that the medical profession did their job, but only to a certain degree, and then they were stuck.
Right. Things they just couldn't do, things they had no solution for: horses, dogs, cats. And it's worked 100% effectively 100% of the time, which is amazing. That's what kept surprising us, because we didn't think it was going to work on so many different things. We knew it was going to work for pain and reducing inflammation and the basic things, but getting rid of infections and cancer and all those kinds of things, it was not something that we thought that it would actually do until we had tried it. So, but you can go back to how it all began, or whatever, I guess.
When my father and I lived on Marco Island on the beachfront there, we would be discussing things, science things. My father came from Big Pharma, and that was his life's work. And he finally gave up Big Pharma because he finally got the message that that was not the answer, and became very embittered from that experience after he thought it through. So we spent the time talking about science and technology, and for about 9 years, actually, with if you were to chart this, it would be a flat line until about 2009, 2010. All of a sudden, we hit a point where we hit the vertex in the road, and I did a lot of research on my own prior to that, and we found that the question is, if you think of cholera from the ancient world, and many people died from that, is it really the bacteria, the virus in the bloodstream that causes the problem, or is it actually the vibrational emission wave that it gives off? And that really was the beginning of part of the puzzle. And then if you look at the as a trivia question, if you look at the back of the $1 bill and you think of that all-seeing eye, the question to ask yourself is, without looking, is that capstone actually sitting on the pyramid? And the answer to that is, if you look closely, it's actually levitating. And that brings in part two of the experience of understanding this, that you can see that they knew back then that there is no substance, not in matter, but in electromagnetic matter. And that's another part of the puzzle of why this actually works. So what we're doing is when you point this and press the button, we're biotuning an affected area that might be injured from a sports accident or a car, any type of an accident, a slip and fall, whatever. And we can biotune in seconds, and in course of a few minutes, like Dennis Thompson, we can biotune that tissue to re-energize it back, let's say from a person that's 30 years old back to someone who's 18, to say it that way, so you understand the reduction in the acceleration of the cell to become youthful. And of course, look at his hair. Turn around.
Yeah, so I don't really work
He's
on
got some color.
Blonde hair coming
So
back.
yeah, what he's trying to say is aging and injury are basically the same. Okay, what it is as the atomic spin begins to slow from going through time or injury or whatever it is, it's just like a spinning top, and it starts to wobble around the table because it creates inflammation, because it's not hitting its proper frequency. It's a little bit out
And
of tune,
losing energy.
like in losing energy, just like your guitar, your instrument, or whatever. So once you retune again, that inflammation is going to disappear because it doesn't need all that extra room. It's not wobbling all around. So really, when you think of aging and injury, they're really the same thing. It's the breakdown of the atomic structure. And it just, when you re-energize it to its proper energy, it automatically corrects anything in the soft biotissue.
Including cancer.
Anything. Cancer, your hearing, COVID, COPD, I mean, anything, absolutely anything. And that's what's been, now last video I was saying, we're still looking, we're trying to find something that it won't do at this point after 8 years of doing this. Bring us something we can't solve because we just can't find anything at this point, you know?
Well, I've seen some really interesting demonstrations of frequency in water with light shining through it, and they actually the moire pattern that can look just like a trilobite or diatom. It looks exactly like the shape of a living creature. So I
Right.
think there's something to just the frequency in the water and getting the tuning right. It can change the structure of
I
what
always
you're
want to going
seeing.
through the water. I do it in the pool sometimes or whatever. I think the
Mhm.
water is a magnifier as
It
well.
is.
So I kind of like the hydro massages they have at Planet Fitness. You could just get your massage and
Yeah.
get all your frequencies all back in line. Wouldn't that be wonderful?
Well,
We
Craig,
can
I'd like to,
incorporate some of these
to
things.
introduce you to Tara, who joined us, and Tara has, since we started this show, become a Rife practitioner, which is
Oh,
another
very good.
form of frequency healing. So,
He's the father of it all, Royal Rife.
yeah,
Yeah,
Royal Rife. So you guys can.
fascinating. Hey guys,
Hello.
Hi,
hello.
Tara.
good to hear it. Great
No
topic.
wonder you're looking so young. I saw the last thing I said, she's looking so great. It's that Rife machine, isn't it? See, doing some
Yeah, you'd
reverse image
never
stuff.
guess she's a grandma.
Well,
but
the
she
fact
is.
I haven't even used it on myself yet. To tell you,
You look like a schoolgirl in that last neighborhood news video. You had to think. I said, she looks like a schoolgirl, not a grandma.
that's funny. Well, we do like to work with energy in all its forms, but those that accelerate healing for what you're saying, the injuries and just those hurdles. It's so important, and the advancements we know are right next to us. It's just that we need to do what we're doing and just provide the routes that we can get it to the people and get the funding and just do the opposite of what medicine has been doing.
Well, we have
Well-
some good ideas, don't we? We've been looking at like these little banks are closing all these little places, and just think you only have to be there for a few minutes with this. You could drive through, you could
What
walk
do you,
in,
a
walk
few
out.
minutes? Now, wait a minute.
Well, 12
1 minute
seconds,
or
however long it's gonna It's always been 12 seconds, yeah. But yeah, so I mean,
No, a
there's
minute
really
or
an
less,
opportunity. Even like you say, if we can get a small run even made and start opening up locations and getting people under their right to try, they can try. And this isn't medical; it's just advanced first aid. So if it doesn't work, please run to the nearest doctor. But there's all these different little locations. I look at all these little bank branches closing and all these things. So we've always been looking at the big run, the global run, and all this kind of thing. But I think just starting off with some locations and getting people to try it, and for even there's different ways you could go. You could even do it for pets if you wanted, horses, or you could be a traveling one. So we want people to find opportunity and become representatives and help themselves economically. The big thing that I've been working towards all along is like, let's not have them have this. Let small business in America. You could do skin, you could do pets, you could do dental, all these different things, and let some of the small businesses benefit and sell these to the people and provide services rather than surrendering it to the medical industry, because chiropractors are billing for their services. I say take all the inflammation out, and the chiropractor is going to be a lot easier to do an adjustment.
Well, I think that's what Robert F. Kennedy is saying. That we really need to clean up the mess that big pharma has got us into, and allow some of these things that really do help our health back into the system.
Yeah.
Just get rid of the stuff that doesn't work. Makes you sicker.
Well, and the nice thing about this, can you see it from there? Is that it's pocket size. A lady can put it in her evening purse, handbag, whatever. Can go into the small zippered pocket in the jacket or something like
Your
that.
car, your school bag, places you might have it. It can be life or death for you. You start thinking about your kids. I don't want him if something happens. I want him to have it if he's, if he bruises an internal organ or something like that. So after a while, it's like.
Well, let's hear a little bit more about biotuning and how that works in this specific device. Craig, do you want to explain it?
Well, yes, biotuning is taking a affected cell, as Greg is mentioning earlier, and taking that has a frequency that is, I would say, lower than your normal frequency of a proper cell, and by beaming this in, re-energizing that the atomic spin rate of the atoms within that cell, so that they normalize back to where they should be, as if taking someone that is 38 years old and making that cell re-energize back to when they're 21.
Yeah. So basically, that's basically is it's hard.
I've been learning since we talked, Craig, which was probably over a year ago, I think.
Yes.
I've been learning a lot more about low energy nuclear reactions and that idea of condensed matter and how frequency can affect all kinds of changes that, and how positive that can be, how it can actually release energy to do all this work within a body, within all kinds of elements changing into other elements, within the periodic table. And there's just a lot more now that's
432
being learned about. Not that it hasn't already been learned about, 100 years ago or more with Tesla, and even before that.
Well, as Greg's bringing up the back of the $1 bill, the Great Pyramid, so to speak, with the all-seeing eye. In my writings, I have written and filed documents referring to the fact that perhaps once a month that capstone under a certain ritualistic ceremony would be activated by and there are many drawings that you can see online, that the base of the Great Pyramid is exceptionally large compared to the capstone at the top. And so when the pyramid would vibrate to its maximum modulation, if we use a radio term, it would actually levitate the capstone, and that's what you see on the back of the $1 bill. Now, on the humanistic side, people would come from miles around when that event would occur, and they would be biotuned, so to speak, healed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't use that word, but that's why I use biotuning. And think of the past. There's so much history about what we know about what happened to civilization, but did we ever know how they actually were able to heal themselves from all the warring and all of that that's gone on for thousands and thousands of years? But this is...
Well, I think it fired up at 432, didn't it? I don't know.
It's...
Yeah, because the pyramid is 432, in height. And I think when they hit that frequency is actually when it fired up. And so I think that, I know Mark Farner just went back and re-recorded his famous song, I'm Your Captain, Getting Closer to My Home and all that stuff.
Not from 440. He went back
and did it in 432.
That's right.
So he said he has found dramatic evidence in water. Okay. He says when he plays the 440, it's disruptive, it's foamy. He feels it's disruptive to our water because we're water. So but he says when he plays the music in 432, it's perfect like glass.
Yes.
And so he thinks it's more harmonious with our biology to play the music in 432 than it is.
And then there's no foam.
And there's no foam in the water. It's all completely like glass when he plays at 432. Isn't that interesting?
That would be an
example. So let's all go check out the new Mark Farner in 432, see if it makes us feel better. So
I'm your captain. Yeah.
Yeah.
So is 432 your tuning frequency, or do you use different frequencies like
different frequencies? But that is the example of what we're talking about here.
Mm-hmm.
It's more biotuned than that.
Isn't that the frequency of nature?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that's a common number that's found throughout. But yeah, this is it's taken about 39 years to develop this particular product. And it's gone through many generations. This is what we call Digital Ice RF 9.0, and there are more generations forthcoming from this point.
So now, like for diagnostic versus treatment, does this do both or more one?
No,
or
this
the other?
that's a very interesting question because I commend our medical profession for all the electronics that it has for doing miracles when it comes to the diagnostic part. I think Greg would agree. And
Yeah, it's trying to find where something begins sometimes. It's like your car. Where does it start? You know?
But to after you find out what it is and all of those diagnostics, how do you solve the problem? And that part is where there's a deficiency, in my view.
Yeah, it's like you can find a lot of times you're having a problem, your hands are swelling, whatever it is. But where is this problem really starting? And that's why we're like advocating like the youth booth or a blanket or something, and just do everything, because it may be starting in your kidney, maybe causing a problem somewhere else in your body. So diagnosis. But you know, if you do everywhere, you've got it. You covered it. It's just do the whole body, I guess. So a lot of times we wonder the same things, like where is this problem really starting? You know,
right. I think Tesla talked a lot about resonance. And so if you tune something so you're getting resonant frequencies, then does that help explain that?
Yes, the resonance is the biotuning.
Mm-hmm.
And everything has a different frequency. And, you know, wine would be similar to water. So when Jesus turns water to wine, or, you know, the actual frequencies that made up the loaf and the fishes, so he could clone more loaves and fishes. Or we have one right here that I can show you now. I know none of you are going to believe this, but I'm going to throw it in anyway. I'll be right back. I'll show this one in.
Hey, we'll take a look. What the heck? Why not?
Yeah.
So, yeah, we work with Harry the Greek there, and now he has.
Okay, this is the science. This is the science right here. Do you see this? This bottle got down to about right here. Okay, and I left the bottle at Harry's house. This bottle, and I had to go buy another one, and I dropped it going into Planet Fitness and broke it all over the floor. Had to clean it up.
Is that olive oil?
That is olive oil.
Okay.
And the important thing is, what happened was this olive oil started right here, and it filled itself all the way to the tippy top. Now, Harry, being a Greek Orthodox, had to explain this to me. I said, "What just happened?" He said, "Well, that's a sign, Greg." And I said, "Oh, okay. Why did the olive oil make itself?" So I had to do some research, and I had 3 signs. I don't go into that, but what it was Jesus is saying this is the science. See, it turned out to be the same olive oil that was made. So it was Jesus that made the olive oil, and he filled it to the top, and he's affirming the science is one of the things he's saying, is that it's the exact same olive oil. Now, he could have made me better olive oil, but you see, that is the science, because it just gave us more of what we already had, just like when he did the fish and loaves. He could have made like 50 kinds of fish. We could have all different fish for dinner. But no, it was the same fish, you see.
So all
it's just
the
like
fish
it was
look
the same olive oil. It's the same frequencies, you see.
So
I'm sure that just confused you more, but
so you could, if someone was deficient, which is one of the ways you can get ill, this by the resonance and tuning, you could actually create where there was deficiency.
anything can become anything
that's
under
pretty
the science.
fantastic.
You could be made from dust. God could make you from dust. It really could happen.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the science, is that anything can, but it would be much more easier to turn water into wine than it would be to turn you in from dust.
Well, I've since I spoke with you come to know Gerald Pollack a little bit. He's up in Seattle. I visited him a few times. We've had some really interesting discussions. If you don't know who he is, he's an engineer of water. He's worked at the University of Washington for many years. He's retired now, but he's really looked at what happens in our body with water and light shining through it, how it actually changes the molecular structure of water, and it frees up hydrogen when that happens. When it all lines up, so they're in these a lattice of 6 sides, it actually frees up 2 hydrogens for every 6 oxygens that you put together. So that free hydrogen is another energetic source that can be used for folding, bending, proteins, changing your body. So I think there's something to all the stuff that he's discovered about how amazing the work of water is, particularly in its ionization and what happens with those magnetic charges, how that changes everything. That's really what, it's not your blood pumping from the heart, it's actually this magnetic force going along your veins that's moving your blood, for instance. So this is all affected by the resonant frequencies and those charges you were talking about, Craig.
Yeah, and the thing about this too, I didn't say, the other sign that was recent is that Jesus said, if you're going to use my science, you have to use the olive oil. He told all the apostles, don't go healing people unless you use the olive oil. So from now on, we're going to have a prayer with Harry and Tom over here pretty soon, because it's kind of like put me in a bind here, because on one level I have science, and the other level I'm supposed to pray with a little olive oil as we do this.
Yeah,
so
well,
I guess it's an option for people. I can't make people do it.
I think they're the same thing. That's a different
don't know why.
language. It's
Huh?
a different language that you use to describe it, but it's really the phenomena is there. There's
Yeah, it's worked. It's just amazing that it's worked so effectively. That so many of these problems, and the medical industry really has no way of doing most of these things. Like the horses that have big swollen legs, and we could take all the swollen. The veterinarians go, man, we wish we had something that could do this. All we can do is give the horse a pill or something, and not working a lot of times.
yeah. I think that our science went off the track somewhere when we started just thinking about entropy as the only force. That things disintegrate and things degrade unless a miracle happens. But miracles of life and growth happen all around us every single second of the day, and that's negative entropy. So I
Yeah,
think
they
that's
say
what
DNA can't reproduce. They say the brain, and we've seen all those things. So apparently, they're limited in their thinking. They say when something is disintegrated, it cannot come back. We don't
Right.
believe that anymore. We believe the brain can
Mhm.
regenerate and all these things. I mean, from what we've seen, but we'll have to have more medical evidence. But that's what I think.
And also, that's why they only key into the diagnostics, because once something has gone wrong, that's what their expertise really lies in, is deciphering what went wrong. But going the extra mile to really make sure things go right and have preventative medicine, like, yes, there are definite doctors, nurses, and plenty of people that do have that intention. But the thing is that they get taught the wrong thing. So it's
Mhm.
like they might wholeheartedly
Right.
believe that you need XYZ, and they really care about you from their heart, but they've
Yeah.
just learned the wrong thing, and they haven't had, a great amount of time in like nutrition and just holistic medicine, or even like prayer itself. I meant energy, however you want to say it, is a key part of healing. And so we just have lopped that off along with other healing modalities in the professional world. And, we need to expand that. And, people like you guys developing these things, and, we should have more conferences for people to get together for exchanging these ideas. And it's just,
I
there's
think
not
there's a
much.
network. I think you're on it, Tara, because I found all these other podcasters are opening bio clinics. I think there's a whole movement and revolution. And I mean, I don't mind being racial about it, but a lot of them are the black podcasters that are very popular in the black audiences, and they were really just doing wonderful things and really educated. And I want to tie what we're doing into what they're doing, so we can start trading knowledge and building a base. But they're succeeding, actually. What they're doing with nutrition and all the things they're doing, they're actually succeeding. I think results matter, So
Yeah, I think
that's
there's
just
a
wonderful.
lot of knowledge in Africa, and that's of course where Egypt is, and but they're finding just a lot more in the ruins in southern Africa and all over Africa, that people were much more advanced and had a lot more knowledge than we've ever been able to acknowledge for some reason.
In the Black Hills, the Native American chief said we can cure
Yeah,
anything with
exactly.
our herbs. They had
Mhm.
so many herbs and so many things they used. Of course, they came through with Peabody coal and strip mined the Black Hills for the coal. But they just believed that there was a natural cure to everything, according to, and they said they
And
were successful.
there is, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what you're finding too. There is a natural cure. And
Yeah.
it's not so complicated. It's really simple. It doesn't have to be specialists and technocrats that are the only ones.
Or to get all this information on cloves and lymph cleansing and all this stuff. So I'm getting up to speed fast and all this stuff. But hopefully we can all share all these wonderful things, the jackfruit and mangosteen and all these wonderful things that we can explore that are just making. alkalized water. I mean, he's drinking this 9.5 alkalized water, feeling so much better. You drop weight, all this kind of thing. Who knew? Just changing our water can really change our health.
Yeah, or even just shining a light through water can make it be a place of life where it wasn't before.
Ah.
And Carol, you've talked a lot in the past about structured water,
Mhm.
and I wonder if that wine, maybe Jesus's wine, maybe it's a little bit more structured than the water that he's starting off with. I feel like I don't know if you guys would agree, but I feel like fruit opens your body up to like
Mhm.
hydration. Like,
It
I know
is
you need
structured water. That's what's in fruit. Exactly.
right.
Mhm.
So I know salts are important to absorb water, but also I think the structured water in the fruits have a lot to do with it.
People now won't drink water anymore. They're using the structured water. They eat fruit. They eat cucumbers, and, watermelon. And these
Yeah,
different
or
things.
vegetables like cucumbers that are real
Right.
Yeah.
watery.
Yes.
Tomatoes.
We just bought Lonnie all cucumbers last night. He doesn't drink water. He says, I eat all my water. He says, all he does,
That's a good way to do it.
Structured
Yeah.
water.
Then you get all those free hydrogens. In the middle of the oxygen rings is where all those free hydrogens are. So they can do amazing things by spinning around in there. Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully we can all learn together. This is kind of a different route, but we hope to do a show a week here and start helping each other, help ourselves. And also, if people want to come here and would like to try it, you have a right to try. It does have five FDA approvals under PEMF, but it's not a medical device. This is just a first aid device, something you would try to see if it works. And if it doesn't, then seek a professional and a specialist.
Yeah, there you go.
So if people want to come here, I'm sure we all know Tom over here. He's been getting some today, and I think he's doing better, doing a lot better. Our friend Tom, we all know Tom.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that's what we're here for. We just like to find new people and try it on whatever it is that ails you.
Mm-hmm.
So, we want to do
Well,
migraines.
there's
I
a
want
lot
to
of
do more
stuff
with
ailing
Alzheimer's.
people.
I want to try some things that we've only done limited things, try attempts, because we've done so many things. So always interested to try some things that we haven't done, which isn't too many at this point.
So what was the original inspiration that got you guys on this track?
Well, that's a very interesting question because it started with nothing. It didn't start the discussions my father and I had for years had no intention of developing anything. They were just he coming from the pharmaceutical field and myself with my backgrounds. We just had basically morning coffee talking about things.
I think it was
And
understanding science itself is really what it was.
And it was the vertex point of merging these ideas together that sparked it. As I said, it took about 9 years and to get to the point of, well, perhaps there is a relationship between accelerating the energy of the cellular structure and the atomic means within it beyond what we know in the medicine field. And I think that really was the set-off point, especially when I was able to develop the original test product that my father used on his heart without telling me. And he had used it for, I think, about a month. And he wanted to have his hip done. And the cardiologist said, no, I'm sorry, but at your age, no, you can't don't even think about it, basically.
83, so.
And so my father said, Troll, try me. So they sent him down to NCH Hospital, which is a superior hospital in Naples with all the technologies. They put him on every stress test within their department there, and he passed with flying colors. So 2 weeks later, we go back to the doctor, and the cardiologist is walking in and out with this clipboard and a stethoscope and a white jacket. This can't be, 3 times in and out, like one of those toys. And I looked up, sir, what can't be? He said, your father has a heart of a 49-year-old man. He's 83. Yes, he can have his hip done.
Wow. Well, Craig, you mentioned your background. Can you enlighten our visitor or our audience a little bit as to what your background is that enabled you to be able to understand it on the level you do?
Well, I've been in radio science and development since I was probably about 11, and reading a lot of books, both anatomy books and working with electronics from that point. And I never thought I would be developing something like this at that early age, but as life moves on and things you learn more and more, the puzzle starts to come together, and you can see that as the pieces form fit, there's a corridor of new knowledge that starts to burgeon, which becomes most exciting. And so anyway, my work has, I've written many pieces of work that I filed into the Royal Institution in London, and they board elect me a fellow.
Wow,
for my work.
that's an honor.
And
Are you by
Awesome.
any chance familiar with a guy? I did a little report on a scientist, Philip Callahan, who is an insect scientist, and he did a lot. He was also a radar technician in World War II, so he did a lot of work on insect communications and infrared radiation and how that works, carrier waves and resonance within insects finding their mate or finding their food. So he's a real interesting guy. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
yes, I recognize his name. I haven't followed his work much, but I do know the name. And what we're going to be learning in the next 30, 40, 50 years and onward from where we're standing right now is that the chemistry background, the periodic table is not about chemicals, it's about electronics.
Exactly.
And it's electrons. And I basically redid the periodic table for energy instead of chemistry.
Where could we see that? Is that in your?
I haven't published that
Oh,
publicly,
okay.
but that's part of my work that I have filed that gave me my my honor, which I'm very
That's
grateful.
awesome.
Yeah. That's amazing.
So you're going to see, that was one of the basis points of where this, again, gave the foundation, to use that, to propel this product into existence. I think that was the real exciting platform that this was able to spring off of.
That
Wow.
is, when you think about it, that's everything. Because when you start to view the world in frequency instead of chemistry, everything starts to change, and you look at things differently. You know, you start thinking about it, and you start to realize it's not the food we eat; it's the frequencies from the food that our blood is recording.
That's exactly right.
Or the photosynthesis that the plant, it's not the light, it's the frequency from the light that's creating. So you start to go back on everything and start to rethink everything when you start to think in frequencies. I think that's really the biggest difference is our worldview now is so much different because we see it in a different light,
I think we're at a point now as this technology starts to burgeon out nationwide and perhaps around the world that we need to elevate our thought beyond the periodic table as we know it for chemistry, and move our minds to the next level of energy instead.
Mhm.
And this is I'm very excited about the breakthrough of this. It proves a point that's I think has been hidden for thousands of years, perhaps.
Mhm.
And brings it to a new light, a new meaning.
Well, I think
Very
you're
exciting.
right on.
I've
We
just
better
been
do
waiting
back to
for
George
it to
again
come
soon.
away.
Well, the part that I find even personally fascinating is this beams through any thickness of clothing. Being military approved, it can go through helmets, police vests, firemen's boots, hockey skates, ski boots, and it'll normalize the bio tissue that perhaps might be injured or swollen beneath those objects in seconds.
Through a cast or a boot.
Right through. And
Yeah.
our friend Tom had a cast on his leg, and he had been in the hospital, and they sutured him up, and he had really cut his leg with a severe accident. So they did their work the best they can do, which is great. And he had a nice over half-inch thick cast on, and he called me. I think he was at one of the coffee shops or Starbucks, whatever. And we got over there, and his leg was expanding beyond. It had gotten infected inside the cast. And now what do you do?
Mhm.
So we were friends prior, and he knew about the digitalized RF. And so I came over and just beaming this through that half-inch plus 5/8" cast, you could see in about a minute the whole leg absolutely
Wow.
reduced in size. You could put your finger between the inner lining of the cast and his leg.
Tom is our all-time winner of all the things we've attacked because he got ran over by a car at 55 miles an hour. He had a basketball head. The whole shape of his head and face changed. Was screaming with brain inflammation.
And they threw him out of the hospital.
And they threw him out of the hospital, of course, so that saved his life the first time. Then he cut his leg to the bone. He had glass in his eye and wouldn't get it out from the accident. And he wound up going blind and walking in traffic. Got caught in a forest fire. Bones had to save his life. He burned his foot all. I mean, the guy keeps showing up in the movie, and every time he shows up in the spirit of love, you're like, oh no, it's Tom. It's something horrible. And I mean, he gets run over by a car. I mean, and he saved his life like 5 times. He's the most wonderful guy, but he was already a disaffected vet when we got him, and but all those things have happened. But he has so much faith and positivity. He's a cornerstone of the Love Tour, and but boy, he's been through more. I mean, things, and he lives through it, and he gets through it, and it's wonderful. But it's
It's
been
an amazing story.
Yeah, incredible.
Jeez, it's like how many things can happen to one poor guy,
Yeah.
No, man. And then by the time he's a homeless vet, lives out in the forest. He started the forest on fire and couldn't get out. You know what I mean? You're trapped in a fire, and he burned his foot all up. And
it was about this size at the bottom of the foot. There was almost a half-inch upward in the convex inside the or concave inside the foot.
He's the miracle of all miracles. But the first time he went 55 miles an hour, they hit him, went through the windshield, bounced off the windshield, and the car was on top of him. They thought he was dead, standing around talking. He's like, "Can you get the car off my head?" Oh my gosh, this guy's been through some.
Wow, Tom.
So then he wound up living on my couch for a few weeks. But first night, of course, he's screaming with pain with this brain inflammation. Bones, get over here! And first time he hit him, all the pain went away and his face didn't. But then about 18 hours, it started to come back. Hit it again, So it was I don't know what we started out once a day.
It took about 72 times.
Well, something, but pretty soon it was a couple times a week, and then once a week, and it slowly normalized completely, all back to normal. But yeah, that was one of those where he wouldn't have made it.
Now he looks like he's 18.
He's one of these guys who works out all the time. He's like 70 years old, and he'll beat your butt. He's like big muscles and all that. So he's a fun story.
Well, we're hopeful that with this election and with making America healthy again, there'll be a big shift. And we're all just
we don't want to
ready.
fight with those people. We just want to be a solution on another solution. So they just come by and try this. And
that's why this is all about personal advanced first aid.
Mhm.
So if you're out hiking, sailing, camping, whatever, and you have an experience, this is part of your advanced first aid kit.
Yeah, it should be on the wall of every.
And if you feel that is inadequate or whatever, then we're not saying don't go to the doctor. This is what you have with you, just like any other
First aid kit.
Yeah,
It's just a modern first aid kit.
it's an updated one. Yes.
Yeah. But if
And
you
so-
tear your intestine this wide, you're still going to have the doctor sew it. So it just works for what it works for. It doesn't work for structural damage or any of that kind of thing. So
It
Right.
won't reset the bone.
How How does it charge?
This on the back side, I'm going to have a solar panel, and
Cool.
so it'll be easily charged by the sun.
these just have a battery. They last for months. So yeah, that's what's nice about them. They last a long time. We don't have to recharge them or anything. So that's fun. So
Yeah.
hopefully we'll have some new courageous people. It's funny because we walk in with the seniors at a lot of breakfast, and it's like you're looking for the one that's willing to try. It's like you're in a lot of pain. You want to try? And a lot of people are like, no, you know. And then there's always like, well, I'll try it, you know. And it's it's just a whole new world for a lot of these people. They're just looking at you like, what? So once
Right,
you
like
get one, sometimes you get the next one. And we were in the mountains of North Carolina. All the mountain people, and it was funny, like who the brave one is. Like the brave one was the grandma who came out and had a cyst, and she came out. She said, "All right, I'll try it," and she stuck out her hand and she watched the cyst disappear in front of her eyes. She said, "I'm sold," and we were off and running on the mountain. But the one her husband was the grandfather. He waited until we did every person on that mountain. And then in the end, because he got up in such horrible pain every day, we could hear him, groaning and everything, but we didn't say anything. And finally, in the end, he came out and he got rid of his pain. He said, "Well, I knew it was going to work," He was just going to let everybody on the mountain try it first, you see. But yeah,
Well, I think this
That's
is
right.
the Star Trek technology that we all have known is there, but
yeah,
hasn't quite emerged yet. So this is so exciting to see
it
it
is.
Yes,
It
so
really
now-
is.
function
here.
a little gizmo. Yeah.
What's really exciting is the great Aaron Adler just walked in the door.
Oh,
Woo,
hi, Aaron.
Aaron!
Hello.
So I don't know. We could probably wrap this up unless you had any more questions, or if people want to, if people are out there and they want to just hit us up. I'm Love Tour Greg on X, so I don't see those messages so much, but
Well, Craig, where
Media
can we
Gmail.
find
What-
more about Digital Ice?
The website that you can see is advanced with a D -firstaid.com.
and all the videos are at Love Tour X or Love Tour Greg on X now. So I've started a whole new batch of videos. We did thousands and thousands of videos, and they're gone now. But we're always making new videos, so you can always see the next person. And I don't edit them ever or anything, just because I'm lazy. And plus, people say that I edit them.
Well, I have one thing that maybe we could kind of close with. My daughter, who's 35, has a friend who was at the end of the election, put out a message that is just so wonderful that I'd love to read it, because I think we all have this hope now. But she said there's many reasons to celebrate, but the core of my personal reason is that this means the mass majority of our country has woken up to the corruption. They've lifted the veil we've been hiding behind for decades. Discernment has been used. We chose flawed authenticity over fake virtue signaling. We united in our hearts and chose to heal together instead of to continue in a trauma cycle, blindly believing the negative polarity tactics. We're ready for the golden age. And you know what else? We didn't know how good we had it in 2016. So this time, we are more grateful, more filled with love, compassion, and excitement. I believe this is a sign we're headed into a first tuning. The 120-year cycle is collapsed the day Trump takes office and starts cleaning up and rebuilding. But it's up to us to create, innovate, and most of all, live in love from our hearts.
Amen.
So that's a great
Amen!
from
Hey,
our
Tara, does
new-
that sound like the age of Aquarius to you? Are we entering the age of Aquarius? A whole
I
new
think
age.
we are, yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Clean
we
air.
are. I think we
Clean
are.
water,
The time is now.
sunlight.
Yes, it
Yeah,
is. The
I
future
believe
is
so.
now.
Something's happening.
Future's in
But
the
I think
hand.
the focus is on abundance and what we have, and not scarcity. That
Yeah.
accumulating stuff is like a clog in the flow, and that cleaning it out and finding resonance with all that there is a simpler process than we ever imagined.
Well, it'll be a lot easier to accumulate when the medical industry isn't taking all your money, which is, one of the reasons
Well,
that
maybe we don't need to accumulate. Maybe we can actually get past that concept,
That's
because
true.
that
Yeah.
blocks things.
Now that's a native thought there.
Yeah, I think.
Can we
I
just
think
share
need
and have
to.
enough?
Well,
You know
and
what?
Chinese,
We've all-
Chinese medicine too. It
Yeah.
just you want to
It goes-
clear the blockages.
That goes way, way, way back. And let's just
Mhm.
say that we have all learned a really lot during this time period.
Oh
it,
my God.
it matters moving forward. Like, it would have been so cool in 2016 to just get innovative, but we really needed to
Hit the wall.
get down and deep and get that Gordian knot to flip out of here. So yeah, so I'm ready.
Yeah.
We're all ready. Woo!
Woohoo! Here we are.
A toast to health, and you guys are great. Please come back anytime. We'd love to continue networking with you guys. We're super
you.
interested in your product, and thank God and be blessed.